Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Jess.
And I'm Sav. Welcome to And a Diet Soda, episode 21, Food, Fitness, and Footwork. Intrigued? So are we.
Today, we'll be diving into self-exploration, how one woman discovered her passion for dance and created a life that she just loves simply by believing in herself.
Hi, it's Sav and Jess. Welcome to And a Diet Soda, an opportunity for people to celebrate their successes, share their failures, and hopefully give a little advice on all things relatable along the way.
This community is for appreciating the little things and fostering positive mindsets and intuitive thoughts by talking to people, because chances are they've been through it too.
Yes, so today's guest is Emylee Ratzlaff. I'm thrilled for today's episode because I've been following Emylee for a couple of years now, watching you grow and create this beautiful life. It's just been so inspiring. So has her bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. She's a shuffle instructor, a nutrition coach, and a YouTuber. So welcome, Emylee. We're so stoked to have you today.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here and to talk to you guys.
Yay, thanks so much. So we're just going to jump right into it. We really want to start with your time at CU Boulder, like becoming an engineer, that entire process, and then that massive decision to like change your career and your life.
Yeah, so I think, always went through, up until a certain point, went through life doing what I was supposed to do. Like you're supposed to graduate and then go to college right away and pick a good major and get a good job and all of that. And so that's always what I was doing. And I never slowed down enough to stop and think, is this actually what I really want? Or am I just doing it because I think this is what I'm supposed to do? And so then after CU, I graduated, did the thing, got a job working as a mechanical engineer, hated every second of it, went into work, was like, I'm dreading this. I'm dreading going into work. Is this really what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life? And so at that point, I was like, okay, maybe I want to do something I'm more passionate about. And at the time, I was really getting into fitness and nutrition and all of that. And so I started doing some of that on the side, getting a nutrition certification to do coaching, starting my own social media account. And then when it came time, I was working as a contract employee. So then when it came time for them to be like, hey, do you want a full-time job, with benefits and all that? I was like, no, I don't. I really don't. Thanks, but no thanks. And I think it was just that when they asked me that, I was like, that's when everything changed. That's when I realized I was like, I'm not going to keep doing something that's making me miserable. I didn't have anything lined up, but I was just like, I can't do this anymore.
That's so amazing. I went through the very similar thing recently, so it just feels good to know I'm not the only one.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like in your case, it's really drastic too, what you went through, because speaking from personal experiences, I think that if I had an offer on the table and I denied it like that, first of all, my parents would be like, what are you doing? What is going through your head? And so I can't even imagine how much courage that must have taken to be like, no, and I don't have anything else lined up, but I think I'm just going to jump into the deep end and see where it takes me. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah, there was definitely a little bit of backlash from my parents. I was lucky enough to have parents that paid for my college. So while they were supportive in their own way, I think I felt guilty. I was like, I just did this 4-year degree and now I'm like, peace. Thanks, but no thanks. But I also had the support of my boyfriend at the time. He was really, really supportive, and it just encouraged. Sometimes all you need is someone to be like, you got this, you're gonna figure it out. And that's what he was for me.
Good. That's good. Yeah. I mean, I feel you on the guilt part, because I think that comes from a lot of areas of society where yours came from, even though I'm sure they didn't intentionally make you feel that way. Of course, there's always that associated with it. And then there's guilt from coworkers, from anyone who's helped you along the way. You feel like for some reason that you owe people this path, even though that's so not the case. And the majority of people just want to see you succeed in what's making you happy. So I think that that's funny. Like I don't think we've ever talked about the guilt behind switching careers so late in your journey like that before. So that was an interesting.
Oh my God, I feel such guilt. I felt that. I went from like pre-med to being this close and having all these mentors and doctors and physicians, everybody helping me, to being like you said, thanks, but no thanks. So I was like, no, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. So there's a lot of guilt behind it, but I don't know. I think you have to be in the right place in your life to turn it down too. I'm definitely kudos to you for just like automatically being like, no, I'm not going to do it. Cause I put myself through it for like way too long when I knew in my heart, like that's not what I wanted to do.
Yeah. I think there's also like something to be said for, I guess like motivation you get when you don't have anything lined up, like when there is no backup plan, there is no plan B. Like that was such like a driving factor, and like I think a lot of different areas in my life and my success, like it's like the jumping off point, right? Like there's no going back now, so I have to make this work, and that's really motivating in and of itself.
Right. It's the fear factor part of it.
Yeah. Fear is a big motivator for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that's so cool. You're clearly so passionate about it. So what would you say to someone who is like not happy in their career? Because that is so common. How crazy is that? Is that like this is such a common thing where people will go through life just being like, well, you're not really supposed to enjoy what you do for work, right? Like that's why they call it work. And I think that the three of us especially really do not relate to that. We're passionate about what we do for work. Like I could do it all day, every day. I mean, probably not forever. I'd probably get burned out, but but I just think that that's so important. And so many people don't have that like click and that realization. So what would you tell someone who is maybe not enjoying what they do for work and kind of experiencing a similar thing to what you did a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I would say that like you only really get like one chance to live your life, and like your job is like such a big portion of it. Like, and maybe you don't know exactly what it is you want to do or what's next or what does light your soul on fire, but like start trying to take the steps to figure that out, because I feel like it's not only our duty to like ourselves to like do what we're passionate about. I feel like it's our duty to other people, because like the world that I talk about this a lot with like my friends and stuff, but like the world that I want to live in is the world where I eat at the restaurant where the chef is the most passionate about the food that he's cooking. And I want the house designed by the person who loves to design houses. You know, like how great a world it would be if everyone did the thing that they love to do, you know. And I know that that's like not always 100% feasible, but I think that there's always a way to make what you're doing enjoyable to you at the very least.
Yeah,
That's so beautiful. That fits in perfectly, because our next question is like, when was the first time you danced? What was that like? Like, did you feel that passion? How does that even happen?
My gosh. Yeah. So I just remember like dance, like officially, like I guess this isn't official, but I just remember the times when I felt like the most joy as a kid, like the just pure joy, was when I was like in my mirror listening to my boombox, blaring that music and just dancing in front of the mirror like I was like a fucking pop star. I kid you not, like that. Those were like the greatest times, and I just loved it. It was just so much fun, and so that feeling of just being like so free, I don't know. And then when I think I did like ballet and tap dance when I was younger, like 4 to 12, and that was, and I still liked that, but I think more just like the structure of it and the class kind of took a little bit away of the fun for me, but I still enjoyed it. And then after that, I kind of just stopped dancing. And then when I found shuffling, I like re-fall back in love, and I was like, wow, okay, this is exactly that feeling that I had when I was a little kid, and this is what I've been searching for. And like I've always just I don't know. I've always just loved to dance, like whether it be good and just crazy, or whether it be like more structured and planned and like professional, if you will.
I love that you talk about like feeling like a kid again. I feel like that's something, I don't know, that kind of blew my mind for a moment. I was like, wow, yeah, like what has always made me happy? What is something that I've always felt? So that's a really interesting aspect, like a way to look at it, because wow. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
much.
I think like a lot of us like lose touch with like our inner child, you know? And so like for me, this is like bringing me back to her.
Oh,
That's so sweet. I love that. For me, my inner child comes out when I watch Disney movies.
Yes, I love that.
I'm like standing there with like my 2-year-old niece, like singing Elsa, like, yes.
you're like, how do I become a professional
Her favorite
princess?
princess. Yes.
So, as far as dance, is that like your preferred choice of workout? I mean, I know you lift as well. What does like your exercise look like surrounding dance and shuffling as well?
Yeah, so I kind of go back and forth, honestly, depending on like where my priorities are. Like there are times where I prioritize the gym and lifting weights, and there are times when I more prioritize shuffling. So what I typically um, right now I'm in a phase where I'm prioritizing shuffling and trying to get back in the flow of that, because sometimes lifting weights can, not that it detracts from my dancing, but just that it's like if I'm sore, I'm less likely to go out and practice. Whereas if I'm just like more shuffling, then I can like sprinkle in some weights just to kind of keep up with it. So right now I'm prioritizing shuffling, and I'm shuffling like long practices, like 3 to 4 days a week, sometimes more. And then I go to the gym like 3 days a week. And so if I'm prioritizing the gym, it's more like 5 days a week, and then shuffling just wherever I can. But I switched over from like a typical like bodybuilding split where you do like legs one day, upper body one day, all that, to doing full body so that I could shuffle more because with the full body, I can do a lot more in one day and like feel less sore, but still hit all the muscle groups that I want. Like I'm still hitting legs 3 times a week, but not as hard as I would on just a leg day, right?
Totally.
Right.
I've seen some of your videos of you like in the gym shuffling, and I was like thinking I like you could see people in the background, and I was like, dang, that would be a shock to me to see somebody dancing in the gym. Like do you ever like do people talk to you? Because I'm like, wow, that's so cool. Like I wish I could do that, because that would be my preferred choice of workout for sure.
Yeah, definitely you get some people coming up to you, and like I definitely had to like work up my self-confidence to dancing in the gym, because people just do look, right? Like whenever you're doing something different, it's just natural to like want to look at somebody. I don't think that people mean any harm by it, but it's just you're doing something different, so people are like, what's that?
Yeah.
But I have had some people come up to me and they're like, is that the TikTok thing? And I'm like, I mean, I guess kind of, but not really.
I feel like it will go on TikTok, but that's not what I'm like doing it for.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, no, kudos to you. Gym anxiety is like real, and to draw attention to yourself like that and like just not care, because it's not even if I saw someone doing that in the gym, my thought would be like, wow, damn, that's cool. I wish I could do that. Not like, oh, what's she doing? So it's not even like people are judging.
Yeah,
It's
and you're
just,
good at it. So
yeah.
people are probably like,
Thank
wow, like I want to do that.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Wait, I wanted to ask you real quick. So you, on top of like all these giant transitions in your life, you also moved to San Diego. So what was that like? Like moving to a new place, new job, new friends, all the works.
Oh man, it's been amazing and also so incredibly stressful. Like I have wanted to move to California for a long time, so I'm like overall just really happy to be here and really glad that I did it. But I literally just packed up my car with all of my things. Like I didn't get a moving van. I was like, it'll be cheaper for me to buy new furniture than to like rent a U-Haul, because I would have had to have it for a while because I didn't really have a place lined up. But anyways, so I've had to buy all new stuff out here. I've had to like find a new gym, find a new like shuffle spots, you know, because I'm like, I don't know the area very well. So it's definitely been an adjustment. And I feel like I'm here and I'm like, oh, I have to do all the things, right? I have to see San Diego. So I just need to like slow my roll a little bit, realize that I'm here for the foreseeable future and just enjoy it and not stress myself out. But overall, it's been good.
I love your outlook on it. Because you also grew up in Colorado. You've only ever lived there, correct? So same for
Yep.
me. And when I moved, it was so hard. I miss my family so much more than I thought I did. So I'm glad that you're in this mindset of like, it's okay where you're at and you've been so excited to be there, because that's one thing that I look back and I'm like, I wish I would have just tried to enjoy it more and take those like small moments and going exploring and stuff. I mean, it's so important to live somewhere else in your life and try something new. So it's really important to enjoy it too, though, while you're there in the midst of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, um, how we want to transition to nutrition a little bit. We know that you got your certification. So how did that become so important to you in your life? And actually, that I'm just gonna ask that. I'll follow up after.
Yeah, so I I feel like a lot of other girls when I was like a teenager just went through the whole I hate the way that I look. I'm gonna diet, and you know they don't teach you anything about nutrition. So what did I do? I just like ate less than like 1,000 calories a day, something crazy like that. Definitely went through my phases of like binging restrictive. Same with college, and college just the whole situation was made worse because of drinking, right? So then you have like a bad weekend, and then I would go through the week and just restrict myself and then repeat the process. And I just really was so unhealthy, and not just like physically, like I guess I wasn't that physically unhealthy other than like the disordered eating. But like I was so mentally unhealthy, like the way that I saw myself, the way that I looked, and like the way that I saw myself, like my whole body dysmorphia stuff. And so then when I finally actually started to learn about nutrition, like actually like more than just let me cut my calories, like macros and how micronutrients play a role and just like all of that, I felt like this whole world opened up to me where I was like, oh my gosh, like I could have been doing this from the get-go. Like, why did nobody teach me about this? And so then I was like, well, okay, well, this is something that I want to teach people. I don't want people to go through the same things that I went through and go through that restrictive eating and just cut calories and have just this really unhealthy mindset. I was like, I want to give people this information so they don't have to go through what I went through, because man, it was all consuming. It was everything that I thought about was like what I was eating, how I looked, you know. I was like, man, I just remember thinking in my head all the time, I was like, man, if I could just be skinny, I would be happy. And that's just like, here, like saying that out loud, like kind of like breaks my heart for like my old self. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so many people can relate. It is so sad. Every week, I mean, these conversations are always so great, but it's so sad that like specifically women experience this. And thank you for being vulnerable about that, because to say things out loud and to think about places that we've been in our past lives and just to be grateful for like where we're able to come is it's a huge accomplishment. But to get there is such a fucking roller coaster. There's just like, I don't even know what else to call it.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want you to feel bad though, because so many of us have had those same thoughts. It's like, it sucks to hear yourself say it and look back on it like that. But Sav and I have talked about it before. It's like, we're all in the same boat.
Yeah, no, totally. I know that like I'm not like the only person who ever thought that. I just like, you know, those are just like a lot of, I think, moments that you don't get back. And I just wish that like I didn't wish that I didn't see myself like that, but also I guess I don't regret anything because it led me to like where I'm at today. So
It's such a like bittersweet feeling. I can totally relate to you, especially being in college and that exact same cycle of restricting yourself during the week and then just going crazy over the weekends and drinking and stuff. And I can relate to, wow, look at where I'm at now. Look at everything I've learned and what I'm doing with what I've learned. And that's great. And hopefully I can help other people. But it is still hard to look back and be like, man, I wish I just could have enjoyed those moments more. I wish if I could have just like been there, it wouldn't have been so sad. Like it wouldn't have been such a hard time. So I don't know. I don't have a better word than bittersweet, I guess, for like the whole transition of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely bittersweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So now though, I remember talking about you're primarily plant predominant, right? In your diet, and you kind of,
I still like eat meat, but I try to like not center my meals around meat. I try to like eat mostly like vegetables and stuff like that. I don't like not eat anything. I just eat certain things in moderation.
yeah, yeah, cool. No, that's awesome. How'd you learn that throughout the years? Like when was that kind of hitting moment for you?
Yeah. To like that intuitive
Flipping,
eating. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, to learn how to truly be intuitive with how you're
Yeah,
eating
yeah.
and feeding yourself.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Sab. I'm like a step ahead of myself in my brain here. Emily's
Wow.
like, what is it?
yeah, so I think like there was no like one moment for me. I think it was very like gradual. So I think like I went from doing like I'm gonna track my macros and like try and hit a certain goal, but they were still like while I was doing that, I was still very like goal like or look oriented, right? Um, and then like again, like anything that can get to just like an unhealthy place. And it wasn't even that it was like unhealthy. It was just that like I kind of like lost the love for like cooking and food and all that. Like when you're doing meal prep, like sure, it's great for hitting your goals and stuff, but
Yeah.
it's kind of boring.
Yeah, totally. I actually have a follow-up question for that in relation to the disordered eating because it's really challenging. And I don't know, I guess I just keep going back to college. It seems like we had pretty similar experiences there. How, as you like start to learn, okay, like I don't have to be so restrictive with everything. If I can eat in moderation, if I can eat like find a balance, I'll feel better. I'll be happier. It's hard though to break those habits. It's hard to break those thought patterns of like, oh, I probably shouldn't be eating this like ever, or like I don't want to fall back into these same patterns. So how did you talk yourself through that entire cycle?
Yeah, so I think it was just kind of like a slow process. Like it was like when I would have something that maybe was like unhealthy, you know, maybe like okay, so like pizza instead of salad, for instance. Like I just would try to be like I would go into those thought patterns of being like, oh my gosh, like how is this gonna affect me tomorrow? Or all of that, and just be like, I would slow myself and I'd be like, hey, like stressing about it isn't gonna make it any better. So think about something else, one, and try not to like go down that path of that spiral because it's like again can be like that all consuming thing. And then also like there's like honestly some videos that I watched on YouTube that like really kind of sunk in for me. For instance, like I don't know if you guys have ever watched Natasha Ocean, but she'll do videos and stuff that were like what happened when I overate by 1,000 calories for a full week, and really basically just like showing like even when she did that, she didn't actually like put on that much weight and stuff. And so like all when you understand the science behind it, it's really like not all that scary, I guess, because it's the same. You can kind of think about it the same way as like one donut isn't gonna make you like gain a bunch of weight the same way that like one workout isn't gonna make you skinny. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, we've totally talked about that before too. Consistency is key. Absolutely. So, and people often see the one side of it, of the workout side, easier than they see the nutrition side, which is really sad. Like they'll see and they'll recognize that if they're not, or they think that if they're not going to the gym, hitting cardio 6 times a week, that it's all going to be for nothing when they don't even put it together. That on the other side of it, if you're not consistent with eating, it's also not going to make a difference. So
Exactly. And the reality is too, like if you think about it, like you go to the gym maybe 5 times a week. Let's just say 5 times a week. You eat 3 times a day, 7 days a week. That's like 3 to 4 times as many opportunities to set yourself up for success rather than just those that going to the gym.
I love that.
right there. Yeah, that mindset is what people need to flip. I think that's it too. Like we were asking what that moment was for you, and that mindset you definitely haven't had forever. None of us have. Like because a lot of people I think would say instead 3 times a week, 7 days a week to eat. That's so many opportunities to fail. And you just said that's so many opportunities to set yourself right. And I think that's such an important distinction. That's awesome.
Yeah. Definitely. I think like just in general with gym and fitness nutrition, like think about the positives in any aspect, rather than I can't eat this, what can you add into your diet? You can eat more vegetables, you can drink more water. Like what are you adding to your diet, your life, your whatever, rather than what am I taking away? Like it's just like those simple little mindset shifts that like really make it easier and make it way more manageable.
That's
Right.
awesome.
Like
That's a great way to
yeah.
put it. Seriously, considering just changing your entire mindset, shifting your mindset of instead of what you can take out, what you can add in. I love that.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Because even that can apply to anything. That's just a whole non-restrictive way of thinking, whether it applies to food or family or friends, whatever you're doing.
Yep.
I love that you're just like, add it all, get it on. That's so great.
Positive outlook always.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Fantastic. Yeah, I have in my bathroom, I have a little sign that says life is better when you're laughing. So
Love it.
You
but
would.
I know. So, but the other part of this, of course, is the continued self-love on that journey, because it's every step of the way that you have to be kind to yourself and speak kindly about yourself and to yourself and about others. And so can you talk a little bit about like why body positivity is important at all stages, and also that some people may think that being body positive is automatically means that you don't care about your health, but we know that's not true. So maybe talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah, so I think that just like being body positive is just about like loving yourself and treating your body as if you love it, and what would you do if you treated your body like you actually loved it instead of that you hated it, right? And so like that is when you love your body, you want to fill it with foods that make you feel good. And when you love your body, you want to give it the exercise that it needs. And like, again, like just like how powerful of a mindset shift that is. So that positive thinking when you're doing something because you like, think about just like even doing something for a friend or a coworker, like you're way more likely to want to do something for somebody that you like or somebody that's asking you nicely than somebody who's like you don't like or is rude about it or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I think just like being just treating yourself like you love yourself, and like everything else will kind of follow suit.
Fall into place. That's beautiful. So we want to shift to the social media aspect of it because that can take a toll on people, and you've definitely like grown and I've seen so much support, but we want to know what your experience is. We don't want to assume that it's been good or bad. We just want to know how that has been for you throughout all of these changes and then this like growth of online.
Yeah, so I think overall it's had its ups and downs, its goods and bads, like I've had great experiences with people who I've met, like some of my best friends through social media. I'm able to live a life that I love through social media. So I think there's a lot of positives to social media, even though I think a lot of us focus on the negative. But as far as the negative goes, like I've had my fair share of trolls. I've had my fair share of people who would point out things about me that I'd never noticed that then became insecurities for me. And I'm like, okay, I do that, or I whatever, for instance, like I raise my eyebrows a lot. I have a very like expressive face and there was this one guy, I kid you not, he commented on every like video that I had and was like, you need to stop raising your eyebrows, you're gonna get wrinkles. And I was like, I'm gonna get wrinkles. And I
Oh
just
my
remember,
God. You click on his profile and it's like some 60-year-old man with like leather face.
yeah, exactly. Like people that do that, are they have their own issues. So I try to not like bring them down as well, right? Because somebody who's happy and in a good space is not the person that's commenting on other people's Instagram profiles, right? So I try not to add fuel to the fire, also because it's partially probably what they want. But there definitely some times where I kind of have to just check myself, be like, hey, Emylee, why do you care about the opinion of somebody you literally don't know, who is obviously a jerk? Like, they don't matter. Just forget about it.
Yes, yeah, that's such a good mindset. And bouncing off of that, we also want to talk about the mental health aspect of all of this. So, how do you prioritize your mental health through these social media trolls, through the move, the career change, and all these massive life changes that you've had?
Yeah, so I think a big one for me is like taking a break from social media, like when I can, honestly, because it can be twofold for me. It's that in part I'm looking at other people's lives, scrolling and comparing, and then the other part of it is like I'm not posting enough, I'm not doing enough, I'm not doing blah 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 blah. Like it's also like a job aspect for it, which can just be stressful. And so if I'm like taking a vacation or doing something that I enjoy or anything like that, being on social media, while seemingly like for somebody else might be just like a normal thing, you're taking a story, you're at the beach, you're doing stuff. For me, like it, I think I kind of associate it with work. So sometimes I just need to just take a break from social media, put my phone down, put my phone away, and just like be present in the moment. I think someone was telling me something about when you're really present in the moment, you can't really feel anxiety, because anxiety is fueled by like if you're worrying about something in the past or the future, right? So just if you're being present, then you can't feel that. And so I really just try to, when I can, even in like the most mundane, like boring aspects of life, like for instance, when I'm washing my face, like I just zone out. I just try to be as zen as possible and use that as like my me time. And I just try to find those little moments everywhere throughout my day.
That's awesome. That's it. That's a beautiful way to put it, because that's so true. When you're focusing so much on the past or the present, it's so easy to just feel anxiety. And it's such like a subconscious thing that we do. We don't even recognize that we're doing it. It's normal, which is so sad that that's just like a normal thing these days. So, uh, um, okay. So your story is amazing, and we want to know, and I know people are going to want to know, um, like what are the things that you've told yourself throughout these changes in your life? Like how when you pack up that moment you decide I'm going to pack up my car, I'm just going to do it, or I'm not going to do this. What did you tell yourself that allowed you to like feel secure in who you were? What made you believe in yourself and your capabilities?
Yeah, so specifically with the move, I remember feeling a lot of scared. Like I was scared. I was like, you like I have to meet new people. I have to live a new life. Like I don't know anyone out there really. Like it's gonna be a big transition. And I remember just having this thought one night where I was like, you've everything you've ever been scared about doing up until this point, you've overcome. You've done it. You've like, so take that and like use that to know that when you go forward, whatever complications, whatever problems you face, you will overcome. For instance, relating it back to the example, me being worried about making friends out here, my college friends, after I graduated and started doing social media, they dropped me, just kind of like peace. Yeah, it was very sudden, very just kind of cut off. And that was really heartbreaking, honestly, for me at the time. And so I didn't really have like a lot of friends for a while. And then I found some new friends through like my boyfriend at the time. And then I also joined like a shuffling group, and they became my really close group of friends. And so I used that kind of when I was moving out here. I was like, you know how to make friends, like, you know how to meet new people. Like, remember when you went through all this, you can do the same thing out here and you're going to be just fine. So like thinking about like everything, we've all been scared at some point, right? We've all gone through things that have been troublesome, traumatic, whatever it is. But if you're here today, you've overcome those things. So whatever going forward, you know you can overcome it. And being worried about it, being scared about it isn't going to make you feel better right now. Just deal with it when it comes, and rather than trying to make your present self stress about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
was awesome.
Applause, applause, applause.
Yeah. It's just amazing that you're a very strong person. I can like tell how you have been able to take everything you've been through and become better from it. And it takes a very special person to be able to do that, because not everybody can. So it's pretty amazing to meet somebody.
Yeah. Seriously, Loki, don't be surprised if you receive a call from me like in the next asking for random pieces of advice. Like, I just need to hear your voice and I know everything's gonna be okay.
I got you, girl, anytime.
Amazing. Those are like, for as far as like solid attainable pieces of advice though, I think those are great because everyone knows making friends in college is really easy. You're in the dorm room, you're in classes, people are like-minded, they're in the same major, whatever it is. And so I think everyone struggles with that. I mean, I sure as shit did when I moved away from college and I went and did an internship. And when I moved back to Fort Collins, I was like, I don't want to move somewhere new again if I don't know someone or like with a significant other, because it was like so hard to not be social as such a social person. But I think that those are really attainable goals, like the joining clubs, or like meeting people that are like you, like with the shuffling and everything, and or just going to a bar and sitting at a bar and seeing who you meet. It, like so many different things.
Yeah, going to like, I think I saw like a TikTok or something, and it was basically like, go to the same place frequently and you will make friends. You know, that could even just be like a coffee shop, like make friends with the barista, or like to go try a new class. Like it's different making friends as a college graduate, you know, as an adult. But I think if you just go in with the mind, when you're going in with the mindset of like meeting new people and you're open-minded, because you know, like sometimes, like for instance, like when I'm at the gym, sometimes I'm like, don't talk to me, you know? So like it's about just kind of taking up those walls that we put up sometimes when we're out and about doing things, and just being like, okay, I could meet somebody literally anywhere. Like you never know, you know?
That's so true. I feel like I have that face on so much, and that's one of the things I've tried to work on. I'm like, I always have this like actual RBF on, and I'm like, it's just my face, and that's not good. And I'm like, okay, I'm always trying to be mindful of like what I'm looking at, and because you can tell, like you can see how people are kind of reacting to how your body type is showing how you're feeling. So I love that advice. We appreciate all of this advice for ourselves and everyone who's listening as well. We want to ask about your support system. I know we've talked a little bit about your parents and your friends that you were able to make, but how important was a support system in your entire life in transitioning and moving, and especially the move now from Colorado to San Diego back to a place where you don't necessarily know anybody?
Yeah, so I think like support system is always important, and like having friends and people to rely on. But if I'm being honest, like I totally am just like a person, I would rather just do it myself. I just like want to do things like by myself. Like I don't need anybody kind of thing. And I don't mean that I don't need anybody. There are definitely times where I'm on the phone with my friends, like back from home, like talking to them. But I've definitely just having that mindset of like, I can do it on my own has made me grow so much as a person. So I think having a support system is always important for sure, but not being too reliant on them, you know? So like, cause I mean, I'm out here now, and as much as I would like to call my parents and be like, hey, will you come help me put together furniture and clean my room and do all this stuff? Like, I can't. So I think not becoming too reliant on anything like that is always a good thing, but always having people to talk to, though, that's always super important. Like when I'm feeling sad or stressed, like hit up my parents, hit up my friends, you know, that's always important.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that that emotional support system is important for sure, like you were saying, but the independence is even more important. Like, and I think that's an important distinction, to be like, I can do this by myself, but to know that you don't really have to, and that there's people that love and support you. I think that's the difference too, is like, you may not rely heavily on your support system, but having them there builds your independence as well, which I think is great.
Yeah. I think, like you said, the can do it on your own, but not have to is like the perfect way to put it.
Right. Totally. I definitely have, that's been a struggle for me to overcome, like from a business standpoint too, is being, and from like my research right now, being like, no, like it's fine. I can do it myself. I'm good. Don't help. When in reality, it's like, this is so much better when you help. So
Yes, I totally feel that. I mean, I won't lie, it is sort of also my downfall as well, because I'm the same way. Like, I'm like, oh, I can do it. It's fine. Like me right now, I'm doing a lot of YouTube videos, and editing is just takes up so much of my time. And like, I would really like to find a video editor to like do it for me. But then also part of me is like, I have to like give up that control to somebody else. And I'm like, what if I don't like the way that you do it, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, but I'm like, Emylee, if you want to grow and expand, like you you need other people.
Yeah. It's a hard thing to come to. It 100% is. So as far as what you're doing now, are you still a nutrition coach? What can people, okay, let me start this question over. As far as what you're doing now, are you still a nutrition coach and you are a shuffle coach? What does that look like for someone who's like, I don't know how to dance, but what you do looks really cool? What does that process kind of look like?
For somebody like else to kind of like come to me?
Yes.
Yeah, so right now it's been a while, but I haven't been doing lessons just because of the whole move and everything. But basically I have just like a sign up sheet on my website where people just sign up for like one-on-one sessions with me. And usually like I have the shuffling and the nutrition coaching separate, just because not everyone's looking for both. But that is actually something I've been getting asked about, is like offering something like fitness, nutrition, shuffle related as like a little package. But yeah, for shuffling, people just sign up for a little Zoom session with me. We have like a little chat beforehand about like where they're at with shuffling. Maybe they've never danced at all before. Then we go through that. We go through like what their goals are. You know, where do you want to get with shuffling? Like, what are you trying to get out of this? Are you trying to just do it for fun? Maybe get a little exercise? Are you trying to get good? Or are you trying to like, you know, like what is your purpose? Some people like want to do it for like a wedding. I've gotten that. So then we basically just have like a little one-on-one lesson where I get to know them and tailor it to their goals. And then with the nutrition coaching, that has kind of been a very small part of what I've been doing lately. So usually it's like people just email me directly and we talk about it through there.
You got it.
Nice. So is there any advice that you would give someone who's just starting out with their business, kind of just getting through this like entrepreneurial mindset? Like what if you were to look back, is there anything you'd do differently?
I don't know that I would do differently, but like advice that I would have is just do it. Like whatever the first step is, whatever the easiest step, just do it. I mean, you may make mistakes and you may mess up, but you'll either succeed or you'll learn something. It's not necessarily a mistake, right? Like you learn a lot when you make mistakes. You learn about how to do things better, how to improve. So something they say a lot in engineering is make mistakes often so you can succeed sooner. And so it's better to not try, like, because the problem that I have is like I'm terrified of being wrong or terrified of making a mistake. That's something that I've been working to get over. And so don't be afraid that it's going to be bad or it's not going to be the best. Truth be told, it won't be. Your first like addition of something is never the best, right? So don't be afraid to just put something out there and just go for it and just start taking those steps forward, whatever that easiest first step is, even if it's just like, you know, making a Pinterest board about your goals, like a mood board or goals, writing down your goals, like start somewhere.
That's great. So I think that a lot of the time, a lot of people are scared to start something because we're so afraid of what people might think. And truth be told, people probably don't think about us as much as we think they do. But then there's also those situations where, like, you experience losing friends, and I've experienced that as well. And so it's hard, like this, trying to find this middle ground of like, people don't care, but I might lose people close to me. How do you find that? How do you find that middle ground of being like, this will either attract the right people, or I might learn something, whatever, I might grow. Like I have to do this for me, regardless of what anyone else thinks.
Yeah, so the truth is, like, when you're growing and changing and evolving, like you do shed some dead weight. That sounds bad, but it's just true. Like sometimes, like I'm sure you guys have heard the thing, you know, like you're the sum of the closest people around you, more or less. And if those closest people around you don't align with what your goals are and your dreams are, they might not stick around, or they might rise to the occasion, you know. But the truth is, like, a good friend, like someone who is like a really true and good friend, will stick by you through something like that. And so it is kind of a test to your friendship. But at the end of the day, don't you want like the best friends, like the friends who support you through those dreams and those goals, rather than the friends that try and drag you down? Like that's the way that I see. While I was very sad when I lost those friends, it was kind of necessary for me to like grow and be where I'm at today. And so like I don't regret it. I also have no hate at all towards them. Zero. Like, you know, who knows what they were going through at that time? Who knows what their life was like? You know, I don't know what they were going through, but whatever I was doing made them feel unhappy in some way, right? They didn't want to be friends with me. So no hate towards them. Sometimes you just go your separate ways.
That's good that you don't feel any hate, but I'm like a little defensive of you. But you're right. Like it just happens. You grow and you grow out of things. You grow out of your clothes, you grow out of your shoes, you grow out of people. Like it's just a fact of life, and it just happens. So, but when you look back on your life, you want to make sure that you grew into the best possible version of yourself, and like
with the best possible people.
With the best possible people, exactly. You always want to surround yourself. You never want to be the smartest or the best person in the room, right? You always want to improve.
Yeah.
Totally.
And who knows, people could always eventually come around, you know. Everybody can grow and change, you know. It's not just like us, right? So like sometimes some people just move a little slower.
Yeah, very true. Well, we want to announce our weekly challenge announcement from your amazing story. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and give it to them.
Okay. So since so many people go through life kind of scared to be authentic, scared to be who they are, scared to just really be them, this week's challenge is to find self-expression in any form. For me, that's dance. You know, like maybe go dance out in public. Maybe you like to sing. Maybe you just like to, I don't know, draw, write, anything. Go find a way to just express your truest and most authentic self.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
So well said. Emylee, thank you so much for joining us today. It was truly a pleasure. Loved listening to your little nuggets of wisdom. But yes, thank you so much for joining us. We just know people are gonna benefit from this episode and take something away from it, no matter what piece of advice you gave. And we hope that people really take full advantage of this weekly challenge, because it's a good one.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on. I really enjoyed talking to you guys and sharing this little piece of myself and all the little tidbits of wisdom I've come across along the way.
And we're so happy to have all those little pieces of you as part of our community. You can find Emylee on Instagram and TikTok at Emylee Ratzlaff. That'll also be in the show notes, but it's spelled EmyleeRatzlaff, even though it sounds like Luff, which I just learned. To keep up with her and her uplifting personality and to see her dance, it's amazing. Seriously, go check it out. To become a part of our family and community, join us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, all of the places, YouTube at Anna Diet Soda. Thanks again, Emylee, and we will see you all next week. Thanks for listening. We hope you were able to give yourself a little love today. You deserve it.
Be sure to subscribe to this podcast and check us out on social media for weekly conversations and attainable challenges for your health.